Recently I saw a video with Ukrainian mayor of Mariupol on some pro-Ukrainian demonstration in Switzerland, where pro-Ukrainian people started to shout that he is a traitor and he abandoned the city in the first days of war. Even pro-Ukrainian people hate him and the Ukrainian city administration. After that video I understood that I didn't talk enough about the Battle of Mariupol. In my first detailed video on this channel, where I told how I survived the street fightings in Mariupol, I said few words about the fact that Ukraine left us all to die here, but there aren't many views, so I decided to make this video. Today I will tell you about evacuation from Mariupol that didn't happen and about humanitarian aid from Ukraine that didn't exist. I will also tell you about the human shield tactics that Ukraine has used here. And before going to this video, I want to remind you that this channel is only sponsored by you, so if you want to help me to make more videos, link is in the description. So, on February 24th, Putin declared the special military operation, and on the evening of March 1st, Mariupol was completely encircled. Ukraine had 5 days to do something to save civilians. It's enough to evacuate at least some people, but the only people who were evacuated were the city government. And of course mayor of Mariupol, Vadim Boychenko. He immediately escaped to Kiev in the first days. There were 2 evacuation trains only for the city administration. At least I wasn't invited there and I don't know anyone who was. On March 2nd Mariupol turned to hell. No electricity and no water at all. And in the official Telegram channel of Mariupol City Council there was not a single post about evacuation before March 2nd. All the posts are saying that the situation is under control and everything will be alright. There are posts about humanitarian aid for Mariupol citizens from 5th of March, and I have no idea who these posts were for, if there was no internet in Mariupol. And I never heard about this humanitarian aid from Ukraine, despite I spoke with many people from all of districts of Mariupol. So these posts are just blunt lie. City buses were used as a barricades to block streets and stop the Russian advance, instead of evacuating at least few thousands of people. And the worst thing are Ukrainian forces who just blocked all the ways out of the city, and they didn't let anyone get out of Mariupol. So even if you had your own car, it was still no way to leave the city. All of the people who left Mariupol after like the 17th of March, when Russia already took control over the outskirts. Now about the food. Around the 3rd of March I went to the point where there had to be free bread from the city government, and there wasn't anything. What did you expect? Later I knew that there was no bread at all. All people had to loot shops and supermarkets to get food. Ukrainian city administration also had to organize the shelters, and I think it's already obvious for you that there were no shelters. Just basements of apartment buildings and other objects. Shelters for people existed only in Ukrainian Telegram channels. And now about the main thing why so many Mariupol citizens hate Ukraine. About the human shield tactics. Ukrainian soldiers, mostly Azov, used apartments of people as firing positions. They just kicked residents out and occupied the apartments, shooting Russians from the windows. They also used roofs of buildings, and most of these buildings were destroyed by the Russian return fire. Most of people in Mariupol didn't need all of this. There were almost no people who wanted city to resist, but we couldn't do anything to stop Ukrainian soldiers. They also made their bases in schools, and schools in Mariupol are always covered with apartment buildings, where there still were people. By the way, this is an answer why so many schools in Mariupol are destroyed. You can watch my video about my survival in Mariupol. There I showed my school, which became a Ukrainian military base, and burned out buildings between the school and Russian positions. And there are many places like this in Mariupol. And only the places where Ukrainian defenders held their positions are destroyed. They left my quarter almost without fightings, so this is one of the least damaged places in Mariupol. Maybe otherwise I wouldn't make these videos. And places with a strong Ukrainian defense were ruined. Same applies to cities. There were no Ukrainian forces in Berdyansk and Melitopol, and these cities are undamaged. Bakhmut was a Ukrainian fortress, and I still can't see any news about the reconstruction of Bakhmut. By the way, this autumn Ukraine had very poor defense in Selidovo and small towns nearby, so infrastructure in these towns damaged less than it was in some districts of Mariupol. These towns will be revived. I've already seen the information that reconstruction had begun there. If you are interested to see the real movie about Battle of Mariupol, not the propaganda like 20 days in Mariupol, I can recommend you to watch At the Edge of the Abyss. I've watched only first part. It's really hard to watch, but it's completely realistic. I can confirm it. Now about Russian actions in Mariupol. Immediately after my district was liberated, soldiers started to give food and water, and first humanitarian aid distribution point was opened in 20th of March or around so. Unfortunately, for first weeks it was the only point for the whole city, and it was barely accessible for people from the more remote districts. And in the middle of April, Russia already supplied us with food, water, bath, mobile network SIM cards, etc. Same with garbage removal and clearing the debris. And first school in Mariupol opened in the middle of April, before all districts were cleared from Ukrainians. I was there and there were thousands of children. It was organized very badly, because no way to organize good so many children in one school. But that was the sign that city will be revived. From my friends who didn't leave Mariupol during fightings, I know that in May few more schools were opened. Oh, and also I want to say about Russia kidnapping children. I have no idea how evacuation from the hell on earth may be considered as a kidnapping. So almost all of people who survived all of this hate Ukraine, and almost all of pro-Ukrainian Mariupol citizens left the city in the middle of March and didn't see a full picture. Ukraine didn't punish anyone who was responsible for evacuation, shelters or humanitarian aid. There were and there are no investigation on this. And Ukraine is obviously benefits from it more than Russia. Ukraine got a picture of a city destroyed by Russian orcs, and it's easy to brainwash both Ukrainian and Western people using this picture. Ukraine brought weapons and military equipment to Mariupol since 2014, for 8 years, so conclusion is obvious. Ukraine just sacrificed all of us. That was all I have to say. I want you to share this video in your media, it's the most important thing for me. You can also support me and my channel by leaving a like or sending me a donation by the link in the description.